Okay, so I added some tack welds. Not pretty, but it's going to get the job done. Now when I bolt down the fuel gauge sensor, it won't flex this and tear the electro welds that were not very strong. They should have easily added at least boom, 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 what you think, but when you look inside, they should have put probably 3 on each side, and they just didn't. Yeah, I had a loose end. One of these, I think this one was the worst one. I accidentally blew a hole in with the welder, so I had to weld that up. Not worried about the prettiness. This is where it all seals right here. These are fine, so that is, I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna have to eventually sand and repaint this tank anyway. See, it's just got cheap paint on it, so but I'm worried about the inside. That's the main thing. The inside is what needs to work. So when your tank leaks and you can't get it, I welded this and I couldn't get to the electro weld. There's an electro weld right there, and I just could not get my wire welder to get in there and weld that up, so it still leaks right here. I think everywhere else is fine except right there. It leaks ever so gently. So what you do is you buy a tank sealing kit. I went with KBS. I've used this before. It's real good stuff. It'll come with a cleaner and a etcher. So this is the cleaner. This kit should do, I think, a 5-gallon tank. So there's your little bitty. You can get this in different sizes, but this is like a kit, or you can just buy this individually. So this is what you'll use first. It's a cleaner, degreaser. You get that in there. You read the instructions. You gotta leave this in there, I think 30 to an hour. Just slosh it around every once in a while. Blaster. Now this is the primer. I think it kind of etches, yeah, it etches into the metal, so this will stick real better. This is it's about a little bit thinner than maple syrup. Probably it's gonna be, should be silver. Last time I used it, it was silver, and so I will follow directions. You should always follow directions on this stuff, because that's the number one thing that usually fails on this. People rush through it or just don't do it right. If there's a lot of rust in your tank, it's best to get a bunch of nuts and bolts. And I like to use Loctite naval jelly. Put this size, would just take a little bottle, throw that in there with those nuts and bolts, and just use duct tape to seal this off. Just layer, layer, layer. Duct tape should be strong enough, and it'll keep a nice seal, keep it coming out. Any type of vent hole or fuel line, what you want to do is get Play-Doh, kids Play-Doh, and just fill it up until you see it pop out on the end. And that'll keep that, if that's good. Now if this is rusted out too, you want to leave that alone. Just put a little piece of duct tape there and hold it so it can get in there if that is rusted out too. Same thing, here's your vent hole on this. Of course, depending on the gas tank, you might have, 3 or 4 vent lines and 2 feed lines, or fuel injection, you have a return line and a feed line. So I got bugs crawling on me. So just be careful of that. If you know these are fine, then plug them with Play-Doh. If not, then just tape the ends off and let the cleaning stuff go in there. Like I said, the jelly stuff is real good. It'll stay stuck around, so you don't have to constantly slush. But like I said, there's a lot of rust in there. Get those nuts and bolts in there and just shake, shake, shake. Just shake the shit out of it. Let it sit for a day, or about every hour. I like to change position and let that stuff build up. It'll move, but it still stays stuck to the wall. And I just kind of constantly change position till about a day, and then I dump it out. I think that's way overkill, but I've used the direction time and it just was not even nearly enough, so that seems to work for me. If it is a painted tank, this obviously is covered with plastic, the fairings and stuff, so I wouldn't worry about this, because then you just spray paint it, you're good to go. If it's a clear coated one and it needs to look nice, you just need to do your best to keep it from seeping out, because it will take the clear coat and paint off. So it's kind of one of those things you just got to be real careful with if the tank shows on the outside. I'll try to put in the pictures I took. You're not going to be able to see it, but you'll see my welds and just see the inside. You'll see the electro welds and my weld, and you can compare why the electro welds tear. They're just not very strong. And so I'm gonna get this started and hopefully have it, get that sealer in by tonight, let that set up and dry, and be ready for tomorrow.